Hi everybody, Jenn from McCreath. Monday, March 14th, 2022. Going to be watching this DVD today. Just heard in the news that they're going to take Mr. Hall here off life support. Shocking end to a turbulent life. And if you've been a pro wrestling fan any time in the past 30 years, then you know this guy and you know his story. And he had a bad fall a couple of weeks ago, broke his hip, and he went in for surgery. And I guess he had a heart attack and a blood clot during the surgery, and it's basically put him in a state of, I guess, being on life support. I'm not sure if it's called being brain dead or whatever, but the family's apparently going to pull the plug. So I guess there's no chance, and Scott Hall's life will end within the next day or two at the age of 62. Scott got into the wrestling business about the same time I started watching pro wrestling, 1985. How old was I back then? My brother, of all things, had a female homeroom teacher. Must have been grade 2 or 3. Who got my brother watching WWF. Hulk Hogan, King Kong Bundy had just signed a match for WrestleMania 2, and my brother was so intrigued, he started watching the product on Saturday afternoon, and he got me watching it. It wasn't until 1990 when I was paired up with a great guy as a, lab partner in chemistry. This would have been I think it was grade 11. And this guy was a huge wrestling fan, and he introduced me to some of the other products out there, including the AWA and the NWA. Back then there was no internet. This is 1990, and the only way you could learn about these other wrestling entities was through the magazines, the Pro Wrestling Illustrated, the Wrestler, and so this lab partner got me watching these other products and said, "You've probably seen these magazines on the shelf." I'm like, "Yeah, who's this Ric Flair guy? What's the NWA? What's the AWA?" He's like, "Well, if you set your VCR at 1 o'clock in the morning, you can watch this stuff." It wasn't readily available up in Canada here, but away we went. We started watching NWA and AWA wrestling, and I believe it was early 91, Scott Hall entered the WCW. NWA became WCW under the name Diamond Stud. And wow, this guy's pretty good. This guy's got the look. He's 6'7", 300 pounds. He's full of muscle. He's got this cocky attitude, and he's pretty good in the ring. What do you know about this guy? He's like, "Oh, he was in the AWA." He dug out this magazine from like 86 and showed me a picture of this guy that looked exactly like Tom Selleck from Magnum. Like, so this guy was a Magnum ripoff. Now he's this Diamond Stud guy. So, yeah. And back in 1991, and even under Ted Turner, it took a few years before WCW kind of took off. So when this guy, Scott Hall, left WCW for WWF in 1992 to become Razor Ramon, nobody knew who the heck this guy was except for myself and my lab partner. And it was pretty cool to see the evolution of the character from the Diamond Stud to the Razor Ramon. I believe it was a ripoff of Al Pacino's Scarface with a Cuban accent, but right away he came in and made an impact. And within 6 months, the fans loved this guy so much, even though he was a heel, that they were forced to turn him face. He made a star right away out of Sean Waltman, and they started the 1, 2, 3 Kid angle. He came in and attacked Owen Hart, and that led to a title match with Bret Hart. He would feud with Shawn Michaels and Diesel over the Intercontinental title. And within a very short time, he was headlining Survivor Series in a tag match with Ric Flair. And who did they fight? Randy Savage and Kurt Hennig, I believe. His former tag team partner, Kurt Hennig. Hall and Hennig in '86 were AWA tag team champions. So living in Toronto, the live shows were kind of limited to WWF. The other products didn't come into town very often, if at all. But I went through my list. I went to so many shows at Maple Leaf Gardens that I just honestly can't remember them all. But on November 15th, 1992, I saw Razor Ramon for the first time live in person, and he wrestled Macho Man Randy Savage. This would have literally been a couple weeks before that Survivor Series match, and Razor beat Randy Savage by countout. Pretty cool stuff. Early in the new year, my last year of high school, January '93, I saw him again at Maple Leaf Gardens wrestle and defeat Ray Traylor, who was known as the Big Boss Man. And that summer, in a losing effort, Razor got beat by the infamous Tatanka. I went off to university and flunked out, and Razor climbed the ladder to success and eventually jumped, of course, to WCW, where he became an even bigger name. Well, 3 years after that, WCW finally came back to Toronto after a 6-year absence. And they had 2 shows in 1999. One of them was a Nitro, and Hall was not on the show. You may remember Bret Hart spearing Goldberg, or Goldberg spearing Bret Hart with the metal plate hidden under his shirt. That was that Nitro. I was there, and the place went nuts. Dallas Page versus Hulk Hogan was the main event. Ric Flair, who I wanted to see wrestle, was the commissioner, and he chose not to wrestle, so I was angry, but Flair was there. He got involved in the match, but Hall was not there. Later in the year, they came back to Toronto for a pay-per-view known as Mayhem. Perhaps best known as Bret Hart's first WCW world title win, which came in a tournament of all things. So we saw Bret wrestle twice that night. He beat Jeff Jarrett, and then he beat Chris Benoit. Yes, that Chris Benoit. But also on the show, Scott Hall, defeating Booker T. And I believe Hall at the time was the US and television champion. I honestly don't even remember if he defended the belt or not, but he won that match. Best wrestler to never win a major world title. Scott Hall's name comes up in those conversations. He had opportunities. He main evented Royal Rumble '93. He had a shot at Bret Hart's world title in a losing effort. And he had a main event world title shot in '98 with WCW against Sting. He won the Battle Royal. What was it called? World War III, I believe. Every year they would have a 60-man, 3-ringed Battle Royal, and the winner would get a shot at the title at a future event. And Hall was a winner of that. He went on to face Sting and came up a little bit short there. 5 intercontinental title runs in the WWE/WWF, feuding with Shawn Michaels, Jeff Jarrett, Goldust, among others, and multiple tag US and TV title reigns in the WCW as part of the Outsiders with Kevin Nash. Then they folded WCW, which is, I still can't believe that, 21 years later. And eventually, Vince McMahon brought Scott Hall into the WWE. So it came full circle. And the last time I saw Hall wrestle live in person was, in fact, WrestleMania 18 in Toronto's Skydome 20 years ago this week. And he had a match with Steve Austin, and what you could argue was one of 5 or 6 main events on that show. WrestleMania 18 often gets forgotten because 17 and 19 were so good, but Hulk Hogan versus The Rock, WrestleMania 18. You had Triple H and Chris Jericho for the world title. Ric Flair versus The Undertaker. Scott Hall versus Steve Austin, among many other matches. And of course the plane ride from hell would happen a few months after that, and Hall would leave the WWE and go down to Nashville for TNA and wrestle there for a while. And I can't remember how much longer he wrestled, but he would eventually come back as a legend in WWE and would be put into the Hall of Fame and would make sporadic appearances. And so for me, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times seeing him wrestle live in person. Very fun memories of watching him live, and of course all the televisions and the pay-per-views and all that stuff. His struggles with alcohol and drugs, and his meet up with Dallas Page. We've heard a lot about how Dallas Page, who at the time in '91 was his manager in the Diamond Mine, Diamond Stud, Diamond Dallas Page. So that they obviously have been friends for 30 years, and big shout out to Dallas Page, who was out here in Newfoundland a few years ago. And yeah, it's a tough situation, a tough story. The guy had his demons, and he overcame a lot of them. And I mean, he's 62, so it's not like he's dying really young, but he's still dying young. And for it to happen this way is really sad. A fluke fall leading to a surgery, and then complications from surgery. It's just not something you want to have to see. And I know the wrestling world is in shock right now, and just knowing that the guy's still alive barely, and they're going to pull the plug on him, it's sad. It's difficult. And I guess the only way to try to process this information is to take a look at this great DVD story. WWE put this out a few years ago. It's got everything about his biography, his rise through the business, some old AWA matches. There's some WCW stuff in there, and there's the Magnum ripoff look. Isn't that hilarious? Of course, the match with Bret Hart that we may remember. And what else we got in here? Oh yeah, Rick Martel. His first Intercontinental title was over Rick Martel after they met. I believe it was a early Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw was invented in '93, yeah, so it was within the first year of Raw where he became Intercontinental Champion. So we're going to watch this DVD set today, and we'll remember what a great wrestler and a great actor and a great person this guy was. And shout out to him, his family, and to all of his colleagues in the wrestling business. We're all thinking about Scott Hall today, and I just wanted to turn the camera on and share a few memories. So appreciate you all watching my video, and we'll be on again with some more content again soon. I'm Jennifer McCree. Thanks for watching.